Hi, everybody. I'm Amy,
And I'm Audrea.
and this is the right crowd. So grab a cup of coffee,
Or a cup of tea.
maybe a little something on the rocks, and let's get started. So we are unpausing. We paused for the summer. We're back. Yay! How do you feel about being back?
I'm glad to get back to regular reading and reviewing these craft books because I fell off a little bit. I read a lot of fiction during the summer. And
I did
so
too.
when I was rereading these chapters for today, I was like, oh, yeah, I was supposed to do this. And this is great for where I am right now in my edits. So,
Yeah. I too have read a number of fiction over the summer, and I joined a local book club. And last month I had to read a book I didn't want to read, but I read it. And this month they're reading a book that I've already read, which was really good. And they're meeting when I'm out of town, so it doesn't matter. I'm like, cool, y'all have fun. And one of the things I put in my bingo board that I made for myself for this year was to read five classics, which I had not done. So I read Pride, not I read, oh my goodness, Little Women. I was like, Joe, Joe. I read Little Women, and now I am halfway through Pride and Prejudice. So I have to decide on what my next one is. But I have 3 months to read three and a half because some of them I'm not going to get marked off. Like one of them was finish a book on an airplane. I'm not flying anywhere. So why I put that in there, I don't know. But so that's not going to, this one though, I can get marked off. So yeah, I've been enjoying different types of reading as well.
awesome. I did join a book club. It's not a local. Although there's a book that I want to read coming up that I might try to entice a couple of friends to read with me locally. But I joined an
I was
on
like, what are we reading?
actually it's a book that you suggested for it's a fiction book,
Hmm.
but it's a cozy mystery writers group and they are also reading books. And I'm in two of those, so there's at any one time there's a cozy mystery I'm supposed to be reading and keeping up with which one meets at what time is driving me a little bonkers.
So anyway, okay.
All
What
right.
are we supposed to be talking about today?
We are doing, yes, we are back to our 27 essentials principles of story.
And
And
this week we start part two.
essential principles of character starts us with chapter 11. And chapter 11 is titled, Make Your Hero Active and Decisive, which
No wishy-washies for you.
that's right. And this was a good reminder for me. In the quick take at the top of the chapter, I highlighted when your hero is decisive, they infuse your story with meaning by making themselves accountable for their actions. And it means they take progressively bolder actions that move them closer and closer to their ultimate fate. And because I am, sometimes I like to read a meandering book a little bit if I know the characters and I read cozy books, so it's like I'm getting back into the setting and what's the Earl up to and so and so. But there's only so much of that you can take before you're like, okay, who's about to come on, let's go. So it's a good reminder that you have to just keep your characters moving and they have to be the ones taking action and making the big decisions.
Right. And it also says in that same area that only an active and decisive character has the substance and gravitas necessary to carry the story.
In
Someone has to be active and decisive. And if it's not your main character, they're not the main character.
That was actually one of the feedback, what some of the feedback I got back on one of my beta reads for my current book was that, well, not the current book, I changed that already. So in a previous version of this book, they said that she seemed a little, things were happening to her and she was just reacting and
Yeah,
doing the things. So she was a little wishy-washy and I didn't realize that. So I had to make her stronger and make her be the one that was pushing for things and
dun da da.
yeah. And I got mired this last round of edits in the investigation. And part of this first section of this chapter It talks about a cop, and I'm using my Kindle version, so I don't have my physical book to hand out. So when I look over here, I'm looking at the Kindle version, but a
So
cop.
you're not distracted by something else over there, reading something while we're talking.
I'm not watching K-pop videos
Oh my
but
goodness, that's not even something I would have thought to use as an example. Do you watch K-pop videos?
I do watch a little. They're fascinating.
Really?
Okay, we digress. So anyway, the a cop grilling a suspect might take 20 different actions, sweet talk, cajole, threaten, without ever leaving a seat. And that is fascinating to think that action can be any one of those. And one of the
Right.
exercises that comes up later, he talks about that.
Yeah. So he also says that each in the how it works part, I think I only underlined one part in this, but it says that each decision and action reveals something. Like they're making decisions and they're doing things to move the story along. They're not just doing it to take up words on the page. And if you are doing it just to take up words on the page, maybe cut and paste, put those in another file and use them in a different story.
Yeah.
I mean, sure book, you can do whatever you want. But based on everything that we've read says not to do that.
That's right. And that's why we read these craft books. It's
Yes.
just to learn from the masters, which is coming up pretty soon, but to learn how to do things and keep readers reading and buying your books. That's the whole reason I am trying to improve craft. The other thing from the how it works, I love the how it works in this, and we've talked about this for the 27 essential principles of story before. The how it works section is he's showing you how it works, how a master did it, and then how you can do it. And so in the how it works section, I also highlighted that an unexpected incident or response from the world is meaningful and forces them, that is your character, to take a bigger risk to acquire their object of desire. And that is what I'm working through currently in my investigation. They do something and it doesn't work, but something happens or there's a response that they have to re they have to do something bigger or more daring to get to the solve their central dramatic question of the book. CDQ by
Just throwing out
ATW.
acronyms. He also does say that the principle of this one goes really well with chapters 5 and 6, which was about clashing with reality and escalating risk. So if you wanted to, it's been a while since we've read those two chapters. So if you wanted to go back and review those, they go really well with this.
Indeed.
Ready to move to the How a Master Did It?
Yeah, well, one more thing in this how it works. Think the last part of that section says, think of story construction like triggering an avalanche that's fueled by an active and decisive main character. So the way you build your story should be that something big is happening and it's growing and it's growing and then it becomes devastating. And then that shows how your character's character. How will they respond? Will they overcome? And that keeps a reader on the edge of their seat, which is kind of the idea. All right, how a master did it.
I think it's interesting that he used the story in a video game,
Yes, he gave us that whole story
the whole thing.
of Red Dead Redemption, released in 2010.
And there was, what was the Marston? Where do we know the name Marston from? I feel like it's a current,
There are
I don't know.
four
I like
chapters.
this whole I think his name is John Marston in this. There's
Mhm.
a James Marston in a movie or in something recently where when I read Marston, I was like, wait a minute. I still don't know where I know this character name from, but someone is currently using it. I just don't
Yes,
remember what
there
part.
is. There's someone with a different spelling. It's a current actor whose name is Marsden. So
But
I
I
thought
thought it was cool that he used a video game to go over it.
I agree. I agree. And I like that he gave us as he does when he tells you how a master did it. He just, spoilers, he's going to roll out the entire plot so you can see how it is done by a master. And typically, if it's a movie, sometimes we've seen it already, but I don't play video games. So I would not have seen this one or would not have gone to, oops, gone to look at it and play it. Although it sounds cool, but it also sounds like not my genre because it's a Western. And spoilers, the hero does not always do end up well in a Western, which is why it's not my genre of choice. I want the hero to always win and get the spoils and the happily ever after.
I'm trying to think of a Western where the hero doesn't die. Is there a Western where the hero doesn't die?
They're very few and
He
far
always
between.
dies saving the woman or saving the kid or saving the town. Like
Or he has to leave because, you know, it would
he's
cause,
outstayed his welcome and the sheriff has agreed to let him stay for this one thing, you know?
yeah, they're depressing to me. To each their own. I know a lot of people who love Westerns.
My grandmother did. Louis L'Amour, oh my gosh. She probably read every one of his books 5 times. And
Wow.
he wrote a lot of them. That was her guy.
Hmm.
Yeah.
They're still
Okay.
short. Okay, so he gives you the whole story from that video game, which is a fascinating, it's a very good story. It would make a great movie.
Maybe that's why I know it. Maybe this isn't they maybe they did make it into a movie. I don't know.
And then gets to the best part, which is how you do it. So that's for those of you who are just jumping in here. Where have you been? Also, catch up.
Also, welcome.
Welcome. It's a great book, but how you do it. So he tells you how, in your current work in progress or a new book you're planning, you can use this principle of story in and make your book better. So
Right.
the first step here is to get clear on your character's worldview. And I thought I was good with my character's worldview, but then when we get to the next chapter, I realized that maybe I should write it down because some of the actions might be that I'm having my character take may seem to be in conflict. So I need to just be concrete on that.
He says a couple of times in this how do it part to write down XYZ. And I'm like, I've never actually like the worldview part. I've never actually like, do I even know what her worldview is? I'm thinking about the cozy I'm writing right now that's based out of St. Augustine. I'm like, do I know? Like, I need to make sure that I know what she's supposed to know. Like, how does she feel about things? I need to go back and do that because I haven't done it. He does say that you want your character's actions and decisions to have an intuitive logic and consistency. So they need to be decisive, and the consistency also goes with not being wishy-washy.
Yeah. And he needs to, if the the type of character, if you're looking at his worldview, whatever you make that character do have to be consistent with the type of person you have written that character to be.
Right.
There have been a couple of shows that I've watched on TV. I wish I could think of one of them was an episode of Buffy the Vampire, which is one of my favorite shows, where one of the characters did something, and I love that series. I love the whole canon of that. But that character did something, and I was like really not happy with that episode, and then I couldn't figure it out, and it occurred to me, it's like because that character would never typically, I mean, would never have done that. Why did you make them? And there was no reason given. It was just it moved the plot along. So to me, that was
Right.
sloppy writing. You just needed to get from A to B. So you
Right.
needed that character do something they normally wouldn't have done. So that's another way of taking that consistency part. Make sure that it's consistent. If it's not
Right.
consistent, but it's necessary, make sure you write that into the plot. Give another character words out of their mouth like, hey, that's not normally something we do. We are not those kind of people. And you're like, this calls for this. So
Right. Make it
write
make
it in.
sense.
Make it make sense. All right. So the other things I highlighted were the things that can be action. So it doesn't have to be pedal to the metal. I was going to say something else that was pretty vulgar, but pedal to the metal, shoot 'em up, action, choking a person out, action, throat punching. It can be talking, the character thinking about their decision or going to a coffee shop. And I mean, that might slow it down, but you might be at a part of your story where you need a transition. But that's all action. Thinking and talking can be an action. And one of the things that he advises you to do is start by making a massive list. Go for quantity of everything you can think of that your hero might do to achieve their goal. So that is something I actually sat down and did to help me with the investigation and getting to the end of my book. And it's actually helped because I was kind of stuck in my investigation, like, well, they do this and they do this, and I couldn't think of any other things. But when you make a huge list of like 50 things is one of the other.
Yeah. He says to make a list of at least 50 things and to not stop until you've got at least 50 things on the list. Of course, then obviously he says you're going to go back and weed out the ones that are not like your list doesn't have to make sense in the beginning. Just make a list and then you go back and you weed out the ones that don't make sense for that character or for that situation or whatever. He also says to make sure that you give the important decisions to your protagonist,
Yes.
which I think is what you said earlier. Your book, your betas helped you see that your protagonist was not making the decisions, they were just following along.
Yeah.
And if your beta is pointing it out, like there's proof that what he's saying is not a lie. It really is what you need to be doing.
Right. And I like how he says in that same section where you were saying that he says make a list of 50 actions. He calls that gamifying it. So getting to the end. Also, in that same bullet point, he says he gives you a list of great things. If you're writing a crime or a mystery, there's a whole list of things in there that he could go through a phone, or he could analyze the crime scene, security footage. So those are part of your list of 50 right there. If
Yeah.
you're writing a mystery, it's pretty handy.
And then he goes into ruthlessly weeding out the unnecessary ones, the uninteresting ones. So even though they might be necessary and it's uninteresting, if it is necessary, make it interesting.
Yes.
I mean, if you're just writing things down off the top of your head, you can go back and edit them and make them more interesting, make them fit. If you like really like an idea and
Mhm.
it doesn't make sense yet, write it so that it makes sense.
And moving on from there, let's see. We've got all of the things for how anything else in how you do it, or yeah, how you
One
do.
last thing is he says, as always, use the other principles alongside this one by connecting events with therefore.
Ah,
So
yeah.
there was an example I want to say that he did. I've read a couple of books, so it may not have been him, but he did a whole line where it was this happened, therefore this was it this guy?
I think yes, there was a
Okay. And it
use.
was a therefore, it was like a nine therefores until they got to the part where therefore he died. Right? Now, technically you could go, therefore this person took over, therefore, like you could keep it going. But he's saying use that chain to figure out how you're going to work all your pieces in together to make your storyline.
Yeah, which
Okay.
is another great exercise. And I've highlighted to do that for my current book to make sure all of the steps are escalating and also make sense. All right, so the mini final exam. Oh, this was the serial killer one.
Mhm.
Which are always good. So the mini final exams help you basically see if you understood the concept or the principle and work with that. And then the continuing ed for this one was green eggs and ham
Which, you know what? I didn't have to read because I know it.
by heart. And he says, why do you think this story is one of the all-time best-selling children's books? And it's just because of the different tactics or actions Sam I Am takes to execute a strategy. So it's a really good example of how to apply this principle can be applied. So
I
another
do not want them with a goat. I do not want them on a boat. Like he makes it silly too, which makes it fun.
yeah. All right. So that is chapter 11. We'll move on to chapter 12.
Provoke dilemma. No pressure, no diamonds. I never knew who said that.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't know who said it.
I knew it was a phrase, but I never, apparently it was some guy.
It's true. That's a very good way to think of it. If you want your character to be a diamond, you must put them under lots of pressure, lots and lots of pressure. So one of the things he says in the quick take is We learn who your characters are by exploring how they respond to the most difficult decisions. And another thing that I liked was he said stories that force your characters to confront dilemmas are more engaging and reveal more about your characters and are more entertaining because they make the story active. All right.
All right. So, one other thing I want to point out in that section is he says that if the dialogue feels pointless and full of cliches, it's almost certainly because the stakes are not high enough and the choices your characters face are too simple. So we use examples for murder mysteries and who done it because that's what we write. But what if you are trying to just write a sweet little, no, not too many stakes, just really sweet. I mean, it's not a book that I would read, but I'm sure that there is an audience out there for that kind of book.
There is.
And if that's you, then that's great. So if that's your style and that's what you're writing and that's your like what people like from you, then don't change that. But for most people, this is going to be you don't want I don't want to be reading a book and go, "Oh yeah, I figured that was going to happen."
Well, that's true. That's true. But I can say for with your example of this, so one of the things he says, well, I'll get to that next. I do want the book that's sweet and there's not a lot at stake. I have learned this over the past few years. I like thrillers. Thrillers are great. I need to know that the hero's going to make it out. And some thrillers, you already know going in that there's going to be so much angst. I mean, so much at stake, and you're going to be at the edge of your seat, and you're not going to know if they're going to make it. I am probably not going to read that book. I mean,
I
maybe
will.
if everybody is reading it, oh man, if it's gonna be a movie and it's starring someone I really like, I might read it. But we're gonna move on for the purposes of time for this particular episode for provoking a dilemma. And one thing about the difference between a choice and dilemma, he puts in that first section is a dilemma can't be ignored. You can sometimes ignore a choice. Like, I don't know which one I want. You make the decision and you or something like that, or the world makes the decision for you. A dilemma, you cannot be ignored, which is a good way to
Yeah.
think about it. And you want dilemmas in your book because dilemmas like pressure make diamonds of your characters. So now in the how it works section of this, he has an example of a young marketing executive and her. What did you think about this example?
I understand where he went with it. It was to prove his point. I think he could have used a better example, but I think it did go with what he was saying because every step he was adding layers to it to where she was having to make. And it wasn't just a head decision, it was a heart decision as well. And it wasn't just one heart decision, it was two, because if she did this, she couldn't do this part of her heart. And if she did this, she couldn't do this part of her heart. So, I mean, yeah,
And we've seen that examples of that in other books. It has the choice or dilemma. It has to be the best of two bad choices because that's the one where you're going to get your readers to feel to empathy and angst for your character. So it's a good example of that. And it's what he says in this how it works is the master storyteller makes the choice as difficult as possible. And that
yeah.
was the example that he used in the how it works. I highlighted a bunch in this is and
Oh,
one of
that's
them
funny. I highlighted one spot.
one spot. Okay, I'm gonna go over
I'll
the
let
next
you
one.
go. And if you don't say the one thing that I highlighted, I'll say it at the end.
Okay. So the other one that I highlighted, or a couple of them, some choices let the air out and some put more in. So some choices, it's like a transition, like, oh, finally I can sit back and breathe. Okay, till the next big choice. Will they make it out of this tunnel that has collapsed? Well, the tunnel collapsed, but there's a little bit of air coming in. Okay, fine. But the challenge here is what I'm reading. The challenge here is that when you, as the writer, increase the pressure on your characters, you need to work harder, think deeper, and feel more as you process the implications of how your characters respond. And the note I put on this is I very often I don't like to hurt my characters. I want everybody to have a good day and like very little angst. But the way I read it is, am I just being a nicey nice Nancy? Or am I just being lazy because I don't want to think about all the hard angst and the rest that comes out of that? And the CDQ actually, I felt confronted. I felt very like, oh, you're talking to me. I am offended you're talking to me. Was he says the CDQ or central dramatic question of your story is, will you finish a meaningful, well-crafted story? And I was like, well, how dare you? How dare you?
Call me out like that?
Yeah. So it's a question you have to ask for yourself as an author. Will you?
Oh, I
Did I
just
give
reread
you?
the last line.
Go ahead.
Do you feel the tightness of that connection between you and your main character? You both have to face dilemmas and face the truth of who you are.
Deep. That's deep. And a little bit painful. It's
Whatever.
uncomfortable. It's a little bit uncomfortable, like a too tight girdle. Just a
I
little
wouldn't know. I don't wear those. I just let it all hang out.
bit. Hey, but you can't do that in your story, Amy. Tighten it up.
Let me tell you what, it looks much better in a girdle.
All right. So the How a Master Did It is actually a stand-up. Oh, wait, did I get your quote? Because you said if
The
I
first
did.
thing you said was my quote.
Oh, okay. So How a Master Did It is the best of times and the worst of times, which is a little heart-wrenching. It is a stand-up or a kind of a documentary from Anthony Griffiths, a stand-up comedian, and one of his progression of a stand-up told alongside of his daughter's struggle with cancer
Yeah, it was,
and the decisions he made for his
yeah,
career.
yeah. It was good. And I like how they just threw in the part that the daughter didn't make it. Like he just was like, even after the daughter was gone, which helped you like swallow that a little bit easier
Yeah,
than if like he had strung along all of the things and then she died and then you'd like you can feel the tears coming before he even says that the little girl died. So I do like that he seems to have in this situation he chose to go with what he felt like he needed in order for himself to be okay,
comedian, yeah.
and then it worked out.
Which
So
it's a good illustration of the point. And it's
yeah,
so for those of you reading along, it's on YouTube, so you can watch it. And I think it's only about 10-15 minutes.
yeah, yeah.
All right, so we get to
at,
the
at
part.
the bottom of that he said the more dilemmas you provoke your characters to move through, the more likely your story is to be compelling.
That's a very good point.
I've also, I don't think I'm the person that wants this kind of book. I don't think I've read this kind of book, but I've heard about books that take you to the, like, it's just like, you don't have time to breathe between the things that are happening. Like, I can see that as a page turner and not putting the book down, but I think I'd have a hard time going back to another one from that. I think I'd have to give myself some time before I could read another one like that because I feel deeply. I mean, sometimes I don't act like I do on this thing, but y'all just don't know. I cry at puppy dog commercials, and there's an AT&T commercial where this girl is a runaway, and back when there were phone booths, and she went into the phone booth and she picked up the phone, and the AT&T person answers, and she goes, she's calling her daddy Collect, and he says her name, and it's like even now I'm fighting crying about this stupid commercial.
Gosh.
So I feel deeply, I really do. So I could see how this would have moved people, like
Mhm.
how this happened for him. And so I don't want to read back to back books like that though,
Yeah, they're
because
tough.
my heart needs a break. And then I'll pick up the next one, but my heart needs a break. I would, if there was an author that I enjoyed reading that had books that went like that, I wouldn't be one of those where I pick up the next one immediately. It'd be like, okay, I'm going to read two or three, nice, easy, steady, and then maybe I'll go back to their book. Because
See,
yes, it was really good, but oh my gosh, my heart.
see there, you know how us who read the nice, sweet, not too much egg stuff, you like just a little light.
I'd get a suggestion from you as to what book I should read next.
Oh,
Okay.
there's an author. It's J.R. Rain, J period R period rain, like the rain that comes from the sky. and she, I don't know, I writes books about a vampire detective. And those books, they're not super angsty, they're very good. But those are the kind of books where for me, it's like, and then what happened? And then what happened? And I stay up too late. My eyes, they're like, oh my God. And because the stakes just get higher and the things she has to go through are so, and there are lots of bad choices, and how's she going to get out of it? It's almost like the perils of Pauline for this vampire detective who has, two children. Like, oh my gosh, and then what happened? So that's a good example, but usually it all works out. So far, I've not read the whole series. That's one that I had to put away to read the nice soft
Wait till your palpitations go down.
mysteries. But anyway, all right. So how you do it is next. And again, some really good examples of how you would do it, and some that I highlighted to do in my current edit for my book about the creating dilemmas. What did you take out of the how you do it?
So it's kind of a repeat of something that we've already said, but make sure that you get clear on your hero's worldview.
Yep.
You need to know how they think and feel about things. If you don't know, they're not going to know, and then your readers aren't going to know.
Mhm.
And then everybody's confused. Nobody wants to read your book.
Yep. Or you could
So,
have them make inconsistent decisions for no reason, and it doesn't land as they say.
yeah.
Say in the business, it doesn't land with the reader.
You want it to be butter.
Yes, it needs to be
Yeah.
smooth and what's the other word? Not holistic. Natural. It has to read naturally. That's
Yeah.
another word for it, but I can't think of it. Okay. And then it also talks about upping the pressure. So when you get to the how you do it, you want to read these and basically just make a checklist and go through with your current work in progress and do it on your own for your own book.
Right.
All right.
Yep.
So then, and again, this stuff applies for if you're writing a screenplay, if you're writing short stories, all the things fiction related. All
And
right.
obviously, we don't want to say all the points.
Yes,
You need to
there's
read the book.
some good ones in here. I
Uh,
always want to say all the ones, but it's not. You get the book and do your homework and read the
this is
chapter.
what it looks like. Get the book.
You miss-
One part that I did want to point out that he says is give them a chance to make the dream come true, but make it costly.
Yes.
They have to make an important decision that's going to cut somehow.
Yeah. Ugh, hurts my feelings to think
Just
about
don't
doing
kill the dog.
character. Okay, and then there's the mini final exam. Make sure you and I knew exactly which one it was. It was the one that made my heart hurt was the right answer.
Yeah, yeah. This one, I liked this example.
A very
I
good
like this one. I like this example. And gosh, darn it, I'm sure people actually had to make this choice at some point. Like
yeah.
if you think about, well, you see, you guys are going to have to read it. Know what we're talking about. I'm sure people had to make this decision.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And how do you, Randy calls it yesterday, he had talked to someone who was from a certain area in like Oklahoma, and a whole group of guys from this area went to, I want to say it was Vietnam. He, because of something that happened, wasn't able to go with these guys. So these guys go from this whole town. There was an attack, and all but three died. This is a true story. All but three died. A lot of the veterans don't talk about what happened to them, what
Mm.
they saw, what they did. They don't talk about it. This is how many ever years later. And I think it's his wife's sister's husband or somebody's father that he's known now for like 30 years. He's going to this guy's funeral, and they have the list of what the guy did and who he was. He was one of these three guys that lived. So
Wow.
he's from the same area this guy is from, and they never knew it. They never talked about it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. But he was saying that they both had survivor's guilt, which is why it was never talked about. And I feel like that this example that he used, there's a lot of guys that had to make this kind of decision that are living with survivor's guilt. You went away. She went away, guys. She went away. Okay. So yes, I didn't want to make the decision on this one either. And I got it right, of course. All right. So in the continuing ed, he talks about the producers, which I didn't watch, but Audrea did.
Seen both versions.
Which maybe I have seen one of them.
Yeah. It's the movie where, or the play, it was a play first, where the two producers on purpose make a flop because they can make more money on the flop than a good show. But the show just, they keep making these decisions to ruin the show so they can collect. I think it's the insurance money or something. They get a bigger payout, but it
It
just keeps
just keeps getting better.
better. Yeah, and yeah, it becomes a box office hit or something like that. So it's been a while, but I think I might rewatch it again just to look at how they use decisions in there because it's good. It's very good, both of them. I'm sorry, I had to cut because I had a coughing fit. All
That's
right.
okay. I carried on. I didn't know if I was going to make it though.
All right.
Okay.
So that
Anything
wraps.
else?
Nope.
All right, guys. So make sure you go out and get your own copy of 27 Essential Principles of Story by Daniel Joseph Rubin. Is that right? Yep. Okay. And tune in next time where we will discuss, are we doing 13 and 14? Is
Yes.
that the next one? Yep, the next one will be 13 and 14. And I keep thinking we're almost done, but we're not. We're not almost done. We're not almost done.
There are
We
27.
might finish this book next year. At the end of the year, we might be
That's
done with
true.
it by the end
Yeah.
of next year.
By the end of, we'll yeah, I think there's a couple of weeks where we said we would do three, but there are 27 essential principles, and we're on 11, so
Yeah,
or
yeah.
12.
We
So
still have 14 to go, guys.
14 to
Which is
go.
7 months of videos. So yeah, it'll be, and we always tend to take the summer off.
Yeah. Well,
So this might be well to be continued, concluding at the end of 2026.
we'll see. But it's making to me, it's making, and the whole point of this is it's making my writing a lot better. And imagine how much better it's going to be by the time I get to essential principle number 27. No,
Oh my gosh.
because
Imagine how much better my writing will be when I start writing again. Oh, speaking of which, guys, I have to show you this. I know this isn't one of our normal videos, but I was cleaning off my desk yesterday and I found this. This is a story I started that I totally forgot I started. I don't even remember what it's about. So
mystery.
maybe I will use this with that, and that can be my guinea pig story
Oh,
on whether or not these principles work.
well, we know these principles work. Like a master script writer and has written many fiction.
I mean,
But
whatever.
okay, whether you can make them work for your work in progress.
That's the one.
Okay. All right. So we will see you on the next one and check out the rest of our videos. And
Oh,
please
like and subscribe.
like and subscribe if you have not. And tell your other writer buddies about it. These two goofy girls who read writing craft books. Join us next time. Bye.